Tonight, flight tragedy. 5 Canadians, including 3 children, killed in a fiery plane crash near a Nashville highway. The pilot's terrifying final moments.
My engine's shut down. I'm too far away. I won't make it.
The investigation into the cause.
The pilot reported a catastrophic engine loss of power.
We're both supporting President Biden.
I'm going to vote for President Trump.
The Super Tuesday vote and what Michelle Obama is saying about running for president. Also, a reality check on affordable daycare. Lower costs, but ballooning wait lists.
A really huge struggle.
Plus, closing the curtain. The Just for Laughs Festival files for bankruptcy protection.
We don't have a lot of things to shoot for.
And the high note of a special friendship.
I think you'd be an amazing voice actress.
A dream opportunity for a brave young fan.
This is Halsey and this is me.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening, everyone. Authorities on both sides of the border tonight are investigating a catastrophic plane crash along a busy highway in Nashville that killed 5 Canadians, including 3 children. Chilling traffic cam video captured the moment of impact, the single-engine plane bursting into flames. And here's another angle, the aircraft narrowly missing oncoming vehicles. CTV's Heather Wright starts us off tonight with the terrifying moments leading up to the disaster.
Surveillance cameras show the moment a plane crashed on the side of Interstate 40 in Nashville and burst into flames.
Oh my God.
The fiery aftermath seen in this video posted on social media. The plane going down just kilometers from the airport.
The aircraft tumbled, came to rest on the hill behind me, and burst into flames. And all 5 persons on board were fatally injured.
Danny Nova lives near the crash scene and witnessed the moments before the plane went down.
As we looked up, we saw the belly of the plane and we heard an engine. I listened for about 2 or 3 seconds and then I heard a crash and explosion. I knew that it was not possible for anybody to survive.
The 5 people on board included 2 adults and 3 children, all Canadian citizens.
It's always very difficult, of course, doing an investigation when children are involved, but we're gonna find out what happened.
My engine's shut down.
It's not yet clear what exactly did happen. Audio between the pilot of the Piper single-engine aircraft and the control tower at John C. Toon Airport point to an engine failure shortly before the plane was supposed to land.
My engine turned off. I'm at 1,600. I'm going to be landing. I don't know where.
The tower declared an emergency, telling the pilot it was clearing runway 2.
Straight in runway 2, straight in runway 2 at John Toon. Do you have the airport?
Yes, I have the runway inside. I'm too far away. I won't make it.
If you can glide in there, sir. If you can glide in, they're clearing the runway for you.
After that, the recording ends. According to FlightAware, a website that tracks flight routes, the plane left an airport near Milton, Ontario at 1:22 yesterday, making stops in Erie, Pennsylvania and Mount Sterling, Kentucky, before taking off for Nashville.
The National Transportation Safety Board says it will be looking at the plane and the pilot, trying to determine what caused this crash. Police and the local medical examiner's office are also involved, working with Canadian authorities to identify those killed. Omar.
All right, Heather Wright in Toronto tonight. A preliminary report on the crash is due in 10 days and a final one about 9 months after that. For more, let's bring in aviation expert Phil Dirty. And Phil, the plane appeared to be on a normal flight track with no mechanical problems reported while it flew in from the Kentucky airport. So what could have caused the engine to shut down?
Well, at this point in time, we're not exactly sure. The flight profile was fantastic all the way from Ontario. The aircraft was Brampton-based, made a pit stop in Pennsylvania and Kentucky, and then made a low pass over the airport at 2,500 feet, and then declared that the engine had stopped and it declared an emergency. And by looking at the pictures and analyzing the pictures of the crash, it does show that the propeller was not spinning when the aircraft hit the ground.
What do we know about this aircraft specifically and its safety record?
Well, the PA-32 is a very safe aircraft. There's only 3 incidents, including involving the aircraft. And one of the most notable crashes was 1999, was JFK Jr., who was flying a similar model called the Saratoga, and they crashed into the ocean.
All right, Phil, appreciate your perspective tonight. Thank you for this. There were also frightening moments for dozens of students in a remote part of southern Ontario this morning after a school bus rolled over into a ditch. Tonight, provincial police are saying they are charging the driver with careless driving causing bodily harm. Here's CTV's Stephanie Davis.
A school bus once full of children lying on the side of a rural Ontario road.
Our investigations determined that there were approximately 40 children on that bus when the bus left the roadway and rolled over.
It happened around 8:15 Tuesday morning at an intersection on a fairly quiet road just east of London. The bus was the only vehicle involved. One student who was pinned under the bus was airlifted to hospital. OPP say 4 others were brought to a nearby hospital by ground ambulance. News coming later in the day that all 5 were treated for minor injuries. Ontario Education Minister Stephen Lecce saying it's too soon to comment on whether the lack of seatbelts on buses played any role.
Obviously, this is a worst nightmare for any family. We're very much thinking about the community that's impacted. I know this is an independent school, but nonetheless, we're thinking about the family, the community, and the kids, and we hope that they're all safe.
The bus was towed away from this area around noon. Police collected all they can from the scene and will now rely on surveillance video from the bus, dash cams, and nearby properties as their investigation into what caused the crash continues. Stephanie Davis, CTV News.
Toronto police are investigating tonight why a 16-year-old boy and 14-year-old girl were on railway tracks when they were killed by an airport express train. Emergency services swarmed the scene, but the teens could not be saved. Around 200 people were on board the train. Police are now appealing for any witnesses. This is the biggest night of the year in U.S. politics before November's presidential election, and it could put Donald Trump close to clinching the Republican nomination. Let's bring in CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon, who has been tracking the results tonight of the Super Tuesday. And Joy, lots of contests tonight, 16 states, 1 territory. What are the trends that you're seeing?
Well, you know what, Omar? As predicted, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are racking up the wins, and we're going to likely see a rematch between those two. Trump has a commanding lead over his rival Nikki Haley, and he's annoyed that she won't drop out, even though she doesn't have the delegate numbers to beat him. Now, given all the controversy and criminal indictments against Donald Trump, Nikki Haley has long argued that he's a drag on the party. But exit polling shows us that Trump voters don't care. 6 in 10 voters in North Carolina said that even if he was convicted of a crime, they'd vote for him anyway, and that he's fit for the presidency. Now, over the weekend, Nikki Haley would not commit to endorsing Trump should he become the nominee.
We are also hearing from Michelle Obama tonight. What is she saying about running for president?
Well, you know, there are so many Democratic nervous Nellies out there worried about Biden's low polling numbers and his age. And many of them have pinned their hopes on the former First Lady, but they're going to be disappointed. Their dream candidate said in a statement she will not be running for president. Mrs. Obama supports President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris's re-election campaign. Many dreams are being dashed tonight, Omar.
You spoke to voters today. What did they tell you?
Voters are frustrated and they're angry. And you know, Omar, it's a reflection of a very divided country that doesn't want to see a likely rematch between Trump and Biden. Some say that Biden at 81 is too old, and others are terrified that if Trump is elected president, he'll abuse his power. Both sides are gearing up for a vicious name-calling campaign. So get ready, Omar. Buckle up.
All right, Joy, thank you. We are getting a new snapshot tonight from Equifax Canada of the financial pinch Canadians are facing and the growing number missing repayments. Nationally, mortgage delinquency rates rose 52.3% in the last quarter of 2023, more in BC and Ontario, where house prices are higher. Delinquency rates for non-mortgages, including credit cards, rose almost 30%. High interest rates and inflation are being blamed for the surge. The financial picture comes on the eve of the Bank of Canada's next interest rate decision tomorrow. The central bank is widely expected to hold at 5%. And we have a reality check tonight on the cost of childcare in Canada. As CTV's Adrian Gabriel reports, it is more affordable, but only for parents who can find a spot.
For working families with young children, daycare is an essential.
Cool.
Though finding a spot may feel more like a luxury for a growing number of families on waitlists in communities across Canada.
Some are 2 years.
The federal government's $10 a day early learning childcare program has dropped costs, though the lower fees appear to be outpacing the creation of new spaces. Currently on maternity leave, nurse Joanna Cowley is supposed to return to work in June, but the earliest she can get her son into daycare is late September.
I feel like I've been kind of an ostrich, like head in the sand kind of thing, just hoping that it's magically going to get better, but no, it's been very, very stressful. Are you my big boy?
Recently released national data shows that the number of parents reporting challenges finding childcare in Canada has risen to 49% in 2023, up from 36% in 2019.
You believe this is part of the growing pains of putting together a national childcare funded program?
It's going to take some time. We have a federal commitment. Our provinces need to ensure that they are investing properly. It's their job to do that.
The pressure is playing out in cities, the suburbs, and even rural communities. In Kawartha Lakes, Ontario, children are waiting an average of 6.4 years for a licensed childcare spot, up from an average of 3.7 years in 2022.
Definitely the government needs to look at this and realize that this is a huge, huge burden for people trying to return back to work.
An email from the federal government in part states that as the first national program of its kind, we are aware of the current challenges in finding affordable childcare. That's why we are working to create 250,000 new spaces for Canadian families. Though even champions of Ottawa's subsidized childcare plan admit it could take years for the new public system to work as intended.
Childcare advocates believe that licensed home-based daycares are a big part of the solution to reducing the pressure on a system that simply can't build standalone centers fast enough. Omar.
All right, Adrian, thanks. A former Newfoundland and Labrador teacher already accused of sexual assault and possession of child pornography is tonight facing dozens of new charges.
This file is unique in its magnitude. I mean, you're looking at 15 years of content.
Marcus Hicks, a former volleyball coach, now stands accused of 63 additional offenses, bringing the total to 155. Police won't say if his 24 alleged victims are former students or athletes to protect their identities. We are learning tonight that another notorious killer who led police on a global manhunt that ended at an internet cafe in Berlin more than a decade ago has been transferred out of a maximum security prison. CTV's Judy Trin has the details.
Luca Magnotta made international headlines in 2012 for killing Chinese university student Jun Lin, then mailing his hands and feet to political parties and schools. Magnotta spent nearly a decade in maximum security, but today we learned he's been living in medium security since 2022.
There's still really high walls, there's still really high fences, there's still jail cells that lock, there are still guards, there are armed guards.
In making its decision, the Correctional Services of Canada says it balanced many factors, including public safety risks, safe, secure, and humane treatment, and victims' rights. A Conservative MP who recently toured La Macasa prison said guards told him Magnotta is there, along with another notorious killer.
I came face to face with Paul Bernardo.
Bernardo was convicted for raping and killing 3 teenage girls, including his sister-in-law. Bernardo was quietly transferred to medium security last year, resulting in a political firestorm. Shortly after, former Public Security Minister Marco Mendicino was tossed from cabinet. On social media, Frank Caputo said he was outraged when he saw the facilities the 2 murderers can access.
If I wasn't pissed off enough seeing the hockey rink and the tennis court, there was more. The cherry on top was seeing this beautiful gymnasium.
CSC says the hockey rink and tennis court aren't functioning and won't confirm where Magnotta is serving time. Senator Kim Pate, who has researched the prison system, says the transfer is being politicized.
The fact that having human rights in prison somehow equates to condoning bad behavior. It's just the opposite. Presumably, when people go to prison, we want them to work on the very issues that brought them there in the first place.
Correctional Services says an inmate can be returned to a higher level of security immediately if it's needed to keep the public, other offenders, and its staff safe. Omar.
All right, Judy, thank you. The United States and its partners dropped more than 36,000 meals into northern Gaza today. Jordanian officials are calling it the largest operation of its kind since relief efforts began. Frustration is mounting within the Biden administration about Israel restricting the movement of aid. The move comes on the same day Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz met with Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Washington to discuss relief efforts. Meanwhile, talks on a possible ceasefire in Gaza continue, but today, no signs of a breakthrough. A date has been set for the state funeral for former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, March 23rd in Montreal. Canadians will have a chance to pay their respects before the burial at two public tributes, one in Ottawa and one in Montreal. Mulroney died last week at the age of 84. Coming up, a deadly explosion in a Detroit suburb. The huge fire at a warehouse for vaping supplies. Plus,
I Saw You on Just for Laughs is a calling card.
Why the influential Just for Laughs festival won't go ahead this year. Well, no one's laughing about a serious financial setback, putting a stop to a festival this year known for its comic relief. Montreal's Just for Laughs is canceling this summer's edition, and today laid off 75 people. CTV's Sarah Plowman looks at the reasons why.
He's still here.
The laughs have lasted more than 4 decades.
But now he expects me to go to his graduation?
But today, a gut punch. Montreal's Just for Laughs Comedy Festival is canceled this summer as its company files for bankruptcy protection, citing the pandemic, inflation, and the changing media landscape.
It is the major league event for the Anglophone community.
It's been a summer highlight for tourists.
Please have Fabio.
And a career launch pad for comedians.
The Just for Laughs Festival gives comedians in this country something to shoot for. And sadly, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of things to shoot for. We don't have a lot of things that can get us national, never mind international exposure.
It's what employs a lot of the comedians in our country and discovers new talent.
The acts have entertained or pushed the envelope.
Would you like to be a Canadian? Yeah.
This Montreal duo first took part in the late 80s.
We became heard of. It was like, oh yeah, I saw you guys on Just for Laughs. So I Saw You on Just for Laughs is a calling card.
Along with the canceled festival, a spokesperson for the company confirmed 75 people were laid off as the organization seeks new investors and wants to bring the Montreal Festival back in 2025.
I think that Just for Laughs is a major cultural force in this country, and it would be a real shame to see that it dissipates.
As for ticket holders looking for a refund, a spokesperson says they should go to the venue where they bought the tickets, or if they bought them online through Just for Laughs website, they should contact their credit card company. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Fredericton.
After a 3-day weather delay, 4 astronauts have landed at the International Space Station. NASA's Matthew Dominic, Michael Barrett, and Jeanette Epps, along with Russia's Alexander Grebenkin, traveled on board a SpaceX Dragon capsule. The crew will oversee the arrival of 2 rocket ships, one with cargo, the other with test pilots, during their 6-month stay. Still ahead, a famous booth fetches a high price.
Focus on the good times. Don't be sarcastic. Isn't that what you said one time? Try and remember the times that were good?
An iconic piece of television history sold to a mystery buyer. A massive fire at a warehouse for vaping supplies in a Detroit suburb triggered multiple explosions. A frightening scene as a 19-year-old bystander half a kilometer away from the fiery blast was struck in the head and killed by a flying canister. Investigators say they are focused on butane and nitrous oxide canisters stored illegally at the warehouse. Hundreds of thousands of Facebook and Instagram users were frustrated worldwide after they were booted offline and unable to log in. At the peak of the 2-hour outage, more than 500,000 on Facebook and about 90,000 on Instagram reported problems accessing the platform. Parent company Meta blamed it on a technical issue. An anonymous bidder shelled out tens of thousands for a piece of timeless TV history from The Sopranos.
Onion rings. Best in the state, as far as I'm concerned.
The booth where the Sopranos family sat in the final scene of the final episode was up for sale. That moment was shot at an actual New Jersey restaurant, and the business decided to auction it off along with a commemorative plaque that reads, "Reserved for the Soprano family." The booth was first installed in the 1970s. It sold for over $82,000, and the money will be used to renovate the restaurant. After the break, a dream come true for a young fan.
I want to start a band. Dancer? Yeah, I'll be the dancer. You?
A Saskatchewan girl and an American singer strike a chord. We end tonight with a heartwarming meeting between a young Saskatchewan girl in need of a bowel transplant and American singer Halsey. The two had never met, only exchanging notes and gifts through the mail until recently. CTV's Allison Bamford on the unique bond and long-awaited meeting.
Being strong.
For years, millions of TikTokers have watched Bella Thompson's medical journey on social media. And now the 10-year-old has met one of her most famous followers.
I want to start a band. Dancer? Yeah, I'll be the dancer. You?
Bella shares a passion for music and voice acting with singer-songwriter Halsey. They both even have stage names.
Hers is Halsey, mine is Bella Brave.
But you can't blame me for trying. Halsey is a 3-time Grammy nominee, Billboard Music Award winner, and now the Thompsons' family friend. This TikTok caught the pop artist's attention, initially drawn to Bella's love for music and art. Halsey later learned the young girl suffers from a rare genetic condition, and at the time was on the transplant list for a new bowel.
And then from there, she sent Bella the first care package, and then she just been cheering Bella on ever since.
Like Bella, Halsey has been battling her own health issues with endometriosis, recently sharing this photo to social media. But the stars aligned last week, allowing the two to finally meet up during a family trip to Disneyland.
Maybe like some fancy jewelry? Yeah. Glitter and pink. Yes. And then makeup too?
This trip just meant so much. It's the first airplane ride that didn't take Bella to a hospital. I'm just so thankful for the time she took out of her day to come and visit us where we were at.
And for the TikTok star, who's usually full of commentary, there was just one word to describe the experience.
Awesome!
Allison Bamford, CTV News, Regina.
Awesome. That's adorable. That's a snapshot for this Tuesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow.